Chapter 2245, Boss Attack. However, at this moment, Uncle Yu was surprised to find that a long, blood groove had appeared on his head at some point. That's right, it's the health bar, the same cartoon health bar you see in video games. A long red blood bar with a white progress bar and a gray progress bar on it. At this moment, reality and the two-dimensional world merged. The strange scene surprised Uncle Yu for a moment, but he quickly calmed down, because the enemy he was facing was not the first time he had fought against it. This kind of scene has been experienced countless times in a simulated environment. Brad, with an ability index of 26,000 points, is currently one of the most powerful silver-armored generals in the Wulwan Empire. The ability is called Strategy Boss, a strange ability that can merge reality and games. One of its abilities is to force a health bar to appear on the opponent's body. Once the health bar is empty, the opponent will die. The white health bar represents stiffness. Once the white health bar is emptied, the opponent will fall into a state of stiffness and will be unable to fight normally. As for the gray health bar, Uncle Yu felt the fluctuation of his own energy shield and realized that it referred to the shield value. I feel like I'm the boss of the game now. This is really fun. In fact, if Uncle Yu could see the game console in Brad's hand at this time, he would find that all the scenes here have been simulated into a cartoon three-dimensional game in the game console. And there is a combat condition that Uncle Yu cannot see. 3 red glowing spots appeared on Uncle Yu's body and kept flashing, as if reminding Brad to attack those spots. When Brad saw the red dots, he became excited. Weakness. Hitting the weak point will cause extra damage and speed up the process of clearing the opponent's health bar. He lowered his head, ignoring everything around him, and increased the speed of manipulating the character. And those white-clad soldiers, in his game, appear as white rabbits. That's right, these soldiers are also his puppets. Soon, the other white-clad warriors had already reached Uncle Yu. They opened their palms, and complex mosaic patterns condensed in their palms, turning into cartoon-like weapons composed of the simplest mosaic blocks. A warrior in white, holding a huge cartoon battle axe, smashed it hard on Uncle Yu's shoulder. There lies Uncle Yu's weakness. Uncle Yu reacted very quickly. The high-powered laser cannons on his shoulders, chest, and waist kept firing. At the same time, he took out a long metal stick from behind his back with his right hand and swept it out directly. Bang! There was a collision of power between the two, and with Uncle Yu's current level of strength, he could easily shatter a building. However, when he collided with the white-clothed warrior, he was only stopped instead of being knocked away. However, a similar blood bar also appeared on the head of the white-clad warrior, but the color of the blood bar was green. After this collision, Uncle Yu's shield value began to weaken, and the white-clothed warrior's green blood bar also decreased. Good boy, he really has become a gamer. Uncle Yu was stunned, and in a trance, he felt like he was really doing a dungeon. Only then did he realize that the so-called strategy boss was not the real boss. He is the player and the other party is the boss. While Uncle Yu was thinking, a group of white-clad warriors rushed over, holding various weapons in their hands. The gunners in the distance continued to pull the trigger, and some people with the ability to release the energy shot out flames and cold currents from their palms. All kinds of complex energy instantly enveloped Uncle Yu. Uncle Yu was not afraid at all. He deployed his energy shield to protect his entire body. Then, arms suddenly extended out from the armor with a tung sound. Now he has 6 arms. Even if he faces more enemies, he has enough ability to deal with them. Uncle Yu swept the metal stick in his hand, bombarding it with pure force, forming an untouchable field. Anyone who approached would be ruthlessly knocked away. With each collision, his shield value will decrease along with the enemy's health bar. At the same time, he used various laser weapons to carry out long-range attacks. The powerful mechanical body is equipped with hundreds of weapons. No matter from which angle of his body the attack is made, Uncle Yu cannot find a blind spot. Soon, the first wave of attack was completely repelled by Uncle Yu. At this moment, a raging torrent of flames instantly arrived at the battlefield from the distant sky, and the sharp force drew a slanted straight line and fell towards Brad. Uncle Yu is not fighting alone in this battle. His helper is Great God of the Three Altars and Sea Assembly, Neza, Foam Taiping from Shengjing District. Boom! A sharp spear burning with flames fell to the ground, instantly shattering the entire earth, and the raging fire burned everything around it. Foam Booping came here with blazing flames under his feet, but he couldn't help but frown when he saw Brad in front of him, who was not affected by his ability at all. He saw the attack clearly, and it hit Brad directly, but Brad did not dodge and took the attack head-on. The fire spear was knocked away, but Brad was not affected at all. Even though his ability index is much higher than Foam Booping's, it is still a bit too much to be unscathed. Because according to their intelligence, Brad of the Special System does not have such strong defense. Brad noticed Foam Booping's arrival, and a hint of teasing flashed in his eyes. He kindly reminded, "If you enter the game, you must abide by the rules." Rules of the game? Foam Booping raised his hand, and the fire spear returned to his hand. He frowned slightly. Brad kindly reminded them, "I know you've learned about the abilities of high-level mutants like us from the captives. But knowing your abilities doesn't guarantee victory. The battlefield situation changes rapidly, and the ability to fight in real time is what matters most. What's more, my abilities are the most complex and difficult to understand." He suddenly blinked at the sky and said playfully, "Hey, here's some hot news for you. If you want to defeat the boss in a game, you usually have to try again and again." But his eyes turned cold, murderous intent etched in them. "How many lives do you have left?" Brad's words made Foam Booping frown, because their intelligence did not mention that Brad's body was immune to his harm. Chapter 2246 Strategies for Boss 2. Obviously, either Brad's abilities have evolved, or he has done a very good job of hiding his abilities. Even his colleagues are unaware of them. But it doesn't matter. Foam Booping raised the fire spear in his hand high. Being able to obtain some intelligence is already a great blessing. I don't expect to be fully prepared before every battle. He, Great God of the Three Altars and Sea Assembly, Foam Booping, has an ability index of 16,000 points, is a flame attribute, and has the ability to release. In addition, although he has not broken through Ipsilon, he has taken the mechanical ascension path and has a superhuman combat power of no less than 22,000 points of supernatural power index, Luwu, Yu Jiguang, which is enough to deal with the current situation. Foam Booping, who was riding the flames and flying in the sky, soon met his opponent. Two warriors in white held crossbows in their hands and aimed their bows at him. Although it was a weapon made of mosaic and seemed to have no killing power, Foam Booping had already seen the battle on Uncle Yu's side and knew that he should not underestimate the enemy. Tongue. The flames around him burned violently, and his entire body was wrapped in blazing red flames. Red Lotus Incarnation. The red flames accompanied the waving of the fire spear in his hand, and a large ball of raging flames bloomed in the air like huge lotus flowers, and then fell to the ground with a roar. Red Lotus Burning Heaven Fire. Two warriors in white drew their bows and shot mosaic arrows into the sky. When they came into contact with the scorching red lotus flames, an endless chill was generated, as if infected by a virus. Even the ice and snow were in the shape of mosaics, forming an ice shield wall directly in the air to block the impact of the flames. Foam Booping was not discouraged at all. He knew that in this battle, he was not the main attacker, and a white chariot-level alien would not try to eliminate the opponent's main general by himself. The real main force in the battle is Uncle Yu. Boom! At this time, Uncle Yu was surrounded by dozens of white-clad warriors, and there were long blood grooves on their heads. Each white warrior has different abilities. Ranged, melee, tanks, and various other game professions formed standard front and back row camps to strangle Uncle Yu. Uncle Yu's defense and attack capabilities were all at their maximum, and he was not afraid of colliding with them at all. However, after each collision, the shield value on his body will be reduced by 1 point. This invisibly brought Uncle Yu tremendous pressure. My energy shield hasn't completely disappeared, and it can still hold out for a while. But the shield value on my head is almost at the bottom. If it really reaches the bottom, what will happen? Uncle Yu was holding a large-caliber laser cannon in his hand, which was the main gun removed from the upper demon body. This time, he bypassed the huge tank in front of him. The tank was originally in the form of a lizard man, but as the battle progressed, it had become unrecognizable and turned into an extremely fat, rabbit-like creature. Boom! The energy cannon quickly gathered energy, then roared and shot towards two mages in the distance who were releasing frost powers. The powerful force emptied the blood tanks in their heads quickly. Their bodies suddenly became strange, twisting and losing their human form, and then with a bang, they turned into two huge rabbit dolls and fell to the ground. Oh, you got a trophy. Brad was still playing his video game console in the distance, his head down, and spoke indifferently. Beside him, several warriors in white were still attacking Feng Buping. The white-clad warrior carrying the mosaic shoulder cannon fired a powerful energy cannon, directly forcing Feng Buping to retreat and make him flee far away. But Feng Buping took a look at Uncle Yu and vaguely discovered more about the characteristics of the Attack the Boss ability. Until their blood tanks are emptied, no matter what kind of damage these white puppet soldiers receive, it will not affect their combat effectiveness. Instead, they died immediately after their health bar was emptied. Uncle Yu, you focus on dealing with those soldiers, I'll disrupt his operations. If we just shoot down the game console in his hand, maybe the battle will be over. Feng Buping was very smart, and he saw through the essence of the other party's ability. On the surface, the one fighting Uncle Yu was a white soldier, but in fact it was still Brad. But Uncle Yu and Feng Buping can't keep wasting time like this. Because Feng Buping also likes to play games, he knows very well that games are never fair. If players can compete fairly with NPCs, who would still play games? As the game maker, Brad created an unfair game in itself. If he wants to defeat all the white-clad warriors, even if Uncle Yu joins forces with him, he will probably run out of energy. We must get rid of the player behind the scenes who controls those NPCs in order to win this battle. Feng Buping had already observed the situation on the battlefield. Brad sent 80% of the white-clad warriors to deal with Uncle Yu, and only 7 guards were left by his side. He had a good chance of knocking the game console out of Brad's hands. However, Feng Buping still didn't understand why his previous attack with a fire spear had hit Brad, but had no effect. Hit him first and talk later? Feng Buping raised the fire spear in his hand, his eyebrows raised, and a raging firestorm gathered at the tip of his spear. He controlled the raging fire and swooped down, heading straight for Brad's body. Brad didn't even look at him, but his hands were quickly operating the game console. The character representing his true self is on the game screen, right below the dungeon boss. He controlled the 3 guards around him to step forward to resist Feng Buping. A mosaic shield appeared in the hands of a guard, and he flew into the air and crashed into Feng Buping. Another guard raised a very long spear, and an archer at the side and rear drew his bow and shot straight at Feng Buping. Feng Buping's arms swelled up, and he roared, bursting out with all his strength in this attack. The flame condensed on the tip of the gun, and the scorching temperature caused the air to distort. Red Lotus, God-killing fire. Flames burst out from the tip of the spear and collided head-on with the shield of the shield-bearer. The blood bars above his head, as well as above the shield-bearer's head, were decreasing. However, there is a white shield value above the shield-holder's head. Boom! Feng Buping originally thought that he could easily repel the soldier, but when the fight really started, he found that the opponent's strength was not weaker than his at all. Under the huge recoil force, his body flew backwards. Chapter 2247 Strategies for Boss 3. From the other direction, the archer's arrows were also shot swiftly. The speed of the mosaic arrows is extremely fast, and their power is naturally not to be underestimated. Wherever they pass, the light in the space undergoes mosaic-like changes as if infected by a virus. Feng Buping had just been repelled, and his body had not yet come to a steady state. He was unable to completely dodge the arrow due to its speed, so he could only hold on to his spear with both hands to block it. When the mosaic arrow hit Feng Buping's fire spear, the power of this arrow made Feng Buping's pupils shrink, his knuckles were cracked, and blood flowed out. For the first time in his life, he faced a black chariot-level mutant in a life-and-death battle. This time, Foam Booping was taught a good lesson, making him understand how big the gap is between him and this experienced black chariot-level alien. He was violently blown away by the huge force, and his body flew towards the direction where Uncle Yu was. This was done intentionally by Foam Booping. If he couldn't sneak attack the opponent's main general by taking advantage of the situation, it would be best for him to gather with his companions first. It's time to put the combined attack technique they have been practicing for nearly half a year to use. Uncle Yu has defeated 5 white-clad warriors. After their defeat, they all turned into dolls without exception, lying quietly on the ground, as if waiting for players to pick them up. Uncle Yu did not dare to act rashly. There was still some shield value on his body. He had to first determine what would happen after the shield value was cleared before he could take the next step. Foam Booping flew over and stopped above Uncle Yu. Uncle Yu noticed a trickle of blood oozing from the corner of Foam Booping's mouth and couldn't help but ask, "Are you okay?" Foam Booping gently wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and actually grinned. "Nothing. It's great. I never knew there was still so much room for advancement after reaching the Epsilon level." Tongue. The flames burned on his body, and in a moment, the cracks on his knuckles and the internal injuries caused by the impact were quickly healed. Red Lotus, Nirvana Fire. He has a strong self-healing ability, and as the battle progresses, the more injuries he suffers, the stronger his combat power will become. Run to his side. Do you see anything? As Uncle Yu spoke, he used hundreds of laser cannons on his body to repel the attacks of the white-clad warriors. Foam Booping looked past them and at Brad, who was concentrating on playing the game in the distance. "I guess so." The Brad we saw wasn't his true self at all. His true self is actually inside the game. The reason why Foam Booping chose to test Brad several times was to confirm his guess. "Oh, what do you mean? Is he in the game, or are we in the game?" Foam Booping said, "His ability is very strange. It's a special rule-based ability. His real body is currently in another dimension, and what we see is only his projection. Therefore, it's impossible to kill his real body now. That's why he didn't care about our attacks on his body, and didn't even leave a few guards around him. I think those people are just trying to confuse us." Uncle Yu thought for a moment. "So, what do you think we should do next? If we can't attack his true form, doesn't that mean we'll never be able to kill him?" Uncle Yu is old and doesn't know much about things like games. He usually only plays games where one hit counts 9999999. Foam Booping said, "To defeat the boss, the prerequisite is to first clear the boss's pre-stage and clean up the minions. If my guess is correct, we have to kill all the miscellaneous soldiers before his true form will appear." Uncle Yu glanced at the shield value above his head, smiled helplessly, and said, "But if we keep going like this, we'll be the first to be worn down." Foam Booping glanced at Uncle Yu and said, "Hey, Uncle, are you serious?" Uncle Yu's eyes swept over the dozens of white-clad warriors in front of him. With the blessing of the Attack the Boss ability, they would not be injured and would not die before their health bars were depleted. Moreover, each of them could exert attack and defense power comparable to that of a high-level white chariot. Of course not. Uncle Yu took a deep breath and said, "Chaos sent me here because he believed I could perfectly solve the troubles here. However," he said, suddenly making a slight strange noise inside his body, "that kid is really afraid that something will happen to those around us. Not only is he very cautious in his own actions, but he's also afraid that something unexpected will happen to us." The structure inside Uncle Yu's body began to change. He raised his hand, and a red energy crystal only as long as his little finger was pinched between his fingertips. "So, in addition to using the body of the upper demon god to create this armor for me, he also left the energy source from it to me. I have to use this stuff sparingly after all, the quantity is limited." After Uncle Yu finished speaking, he activated the red energy crystal without any hesitation. The energy crystal entered the core furnace of his armor, and soon the furnace burst into a dazzling light, shooting out from the gaps in the black armor, dyeing the entire area red. The red light shot up into the sky, and the clouds in the sky turned crimson. A terrifying force erupted from Uncle Yu's body. Theoretically speaking, the person in Zhang Yi's team who can truly maximize the capabilities of the demon mecha is neither Zhang Yi nor Liu Karen. After all, the two of them are just operators of the mecha and cannot truly achieve 100% synchronization with the mecha. But Uncle Yu has integrated himself with the mecha. Therefore, the power of the mecha can be completely transformed into his own power, and there is no obstacle in using it. The moment the red energy crystal exploded with power, the shield value on Uncle Yu's head, which was about to be exhausted, suddenly skyrocketed. As a result, his blood bar and stiffness value became densely packed, and his blood bar almost turned black. Brad's hands suddenly stopped moving, his pupils shook violently, and he couldn't believe what he saw. How is this possible? It's like finding the way to defeat the boss and being on the verge of victory. But suddenly, the low-health boss was revived with full health and stimulated a more powerful second form. The mecha on Uncle Yu expanded, and his body became even bigger. The mecha became 5 meters high, the same height as the surrounding lizard men. Huh! Uncle Yu threw a simple punch at the 3 white-clad warriors in front of him. The red energy wave that burst out from his fist was so strong and violent that it directly knocked the 3 men away. Bang! 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 The 3 were killed instantly, fell to the ground, and turned into giant dolls as battle rewards. Stay with me. We'll try to get you more updates. Please like and subscribe and share the video with your friends. Love you all.